Okay, so Infinite is a new movie directed by Antoine Fuqua. It stars Mark Wahlberg, Chiwetel Ejiofor, a couple other people. It doesn't matter. So it's Infinite is about a man who is confused. He has like all these visions of various things that might have happened or might not have happened. And he learns that he's actually an infinite, and those visions are basically his past lives, meaning that even though he can go into different bodies, his soul will be reincarnated into whatever life. And he must stop Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's the main villain in this movie, who's also an infinite. Yeah. So I remember hearing about this movie. It never really was on my radar for a while, and also with COVID, it kind of kept getting delayed. So it's like, oh yeah, that'll come out eventually. And then even though movie theaters have started opening back up and Paramount's starting to release movies again in theaters, like A Quiet Place 2, for instance, strangely enough, even after movie theaters open, they were like, yeah, we're just going to put this on Paramount Plus. We really want people to subscribe to that service and such. After watching this movie, I feel like there was more than one reason as to why they put that on Paramount Plus. This movie is awful. I mean, wow. This movie is really, really, really bad. It's really, really dumb. It's just awful. And I mean that in the worst possible way for the most part. There is really nothing good about this movie, and I mean that. Like, nothing good. Let's start with Mark Wahlberg. Uh, his performance here reminds me of his performance in The Happening. That's all I'll say. He's doing that voice he did in The Happening. All he does is like ask questions. He's like, oh my god, like, and like even in like serious situations, he's doing that. It's like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You're established. You know what you're doing. What are you doing? As far as Chiwetel Ejiofor goes, I like him as an actor. I think he's a really good actor. No problems with him. His performance, like he's clearly trying to chew the scenery in this movie, and it fails. Like he could have taken it so seriously, but he didn't, and he wanted it to be like a fun performance, and it's just not enjoyable. Because I think the main thing with this movie is that there's just no personalities among any characters in this movie. Not Mark Wahlberg, not Chiwetel Ejiofor, not anybody. Like, the one maybe, like, Jason Mantzoukas, who is like, why was he cast in that movie role? Like, why? Just why? Oh, God. He's on the verge of becoming annoying. I'm sorry. I liked him on The Good Place. I think he's great on Big Mouth. Just stop. No, that's too mean, but like, it's just annoying. I'm sorry. Again, there's no personality among most of these characters, like even at the end. I won't spoil or anything, but it's like, yeah, we know because we're not idiots. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, why should we care? Because like, these characters are not really that important. So why should I care that this is going to happen next? Like, why? Uh, Meanwhile, the action scenes, like, obviously this is not going to be an acting tour de force by any means. Like, I wasn't going into this movie expecting that. It's like, okay, the acting might not be that good. Maybe the action will be good. No, it's just very boring. It's just very bland. It's like very boring car chases, very boring fight scenes. They just look like they have no energy. They're just not that interesting. The CGI in this movie, also very bland. It didn't look like it was even finished, to be honest, at times. Like, wow, I couldn't believe it. It's a movie that is trying so hard to be both serious and funny at the same time. And when it's serious, it's funny. And when it's trying to be funny, it's awkward. And that's just bad. That's just a bad combination right there. I think the best way to talk about this movie is like, okay, so like recent movies like, say, Gemini Man and Bloodshot, which I personally didn't like either of those movies. Those movies felt like, you know, with the right casting and the right direction, those movies could have been really fun, goofy, 90s-esque movies, like in the vein of movies such as Face Off, Con Air, something like that. And those movies probably would have been better if they took that route instead of, like, doing what they did, and try to take itself too seriously. And Infinite does the same thing. It takes itself way too seriously. It honestly should be like a fun movie that's, you know, that is aware of its stupidity, but no, it isn't. It isn't aware of anything. It isn't aware of like what their characters are. It isn't aware of how to do the action scenes. It's just dumb. It's just really, really dumb. And like again, I wasn't really expecting like a logical movie or anything. Like I try not to judge a movie by its plot holes because I think that's unfair because every movie has plot holes at some point. But you gotta try. You gotta try to like make it seem like you're aware. You gotta try to make it seem like that, you know, we're not stupid. Like, just how did this come from people who are well established, who have worked for years and years and years? How did this come about? Like, why? It's just bland, it's forgettable, it's laughable in the wrongest ways possible. In the wrong ways. Like, I don't think wrongest is a word. Who cares? I don't. I really don't care about anything right now. Oh, God, this movie's so dumb. Like, don't watch Infinite. Subscribe to Paramount Plus, but don't watch Infinite. It's dumb. It's really, really dumb. The acting's bad, the action's bad, the CGI's bad. It's laughably bad. It borrows from a lot of other movies, a lot of better movies by comparison. You can just forget about Infinite. The only thing that I feel like in this movie is felt like it was going to be forever. And thankfully it ended. The only positive I can say is that it's laughably bad. So there's that. Among movies like Gemini Man and Bloodshot, this is worse than those two movies. And I never thought I would say that. So I'm going to give Infinite 0.5 out of 4 stars. Skip it. So, now we know why it was sent to Paramount Plus. That's unfortunate. So, what was the last disappointing movie that you saw? Comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe. I don't care anymore.